Good evening, dear soul. Before you close your eyes tonight, take a few minutes to connect your heart with the one who never sleeps. It doesn't matter how heavy your day was, this moment is sacred. Right now, God is closer than you feel. He sees your heart. He knows what you're carrying, and He's ready to give you something the world cannot: peace, comfort, and divine protection while you sleep. If this message touches you tonight, I invite you to type Amen in the comments. You never know who else might be blessed by your act of faith. Let's fill this space with words of hope. Now, take a deep breath. Let go of the tension in your body. Let go of the thoughts that keep spinning in your mind. You're not here by accident. You're here because God is calling you to rest, not just physically but spiritually. This is not just a prayer. It's a moment of surrender, a moment of silence where heaven begins to move. So allow your soul to slow down and receive. This night is not ordinary. It is a sacred moment between you and your Creator. The world may have rushed you all day with noise, pressure, and demands, but right now, everything slows down. You are not alone in this quiet. Even if your room is silent, even if no one checked on you today, even if you feel unseen or misunderstood, there is one who has been with you every moment, in the chaos, in the silence, in the thoughts you never said out loud, and He welcomes you into His presence tonight. Let this be the moment you feel held, not by circumstances, not by people, but by God Himself. Breathe in deeply. You're not forgotten, you're not invisible, and you're definitely not alone. Tonight, something begins to shift, not because you did everything right, but because you chose to stop and seek His presence. Close your eyes for a moment, not to sleep just yet, but to feel who is entering the room. It's not just silence. It's not just darkness. It's not just the end of your day. This moment is an invitation for Jesus to walk in, not with noise or flashes of light, but with peace. The kind of peace that doesn't ask questions, that doesn't need explanations, that doesn't wait for everything to be fixed before it arrives. It simply comes, and it stays. Jesus is not afraid of your tiredness. He's not surprised by your emotions. He's not disappointed by your doubts, or the way you tried to hold it all together. He knows you've been strong all day. And now, you can rest. Imagine Him standing quietly beside your bed, not saying much, just being there, with eyes full of mercy, with hands that heal without pressure, with a heart that understands yours in ways no one else can. You don't need to say anything fancy. You don't need to explain why you're here. Just whisper, "Jesus, I invite you in," and let that be enough. Tonight, He brings peace into your room, not because the day was perfect, but because your spirit is open now, and He never ignores an open heart. Let that peace flow through your chest. Let it calm your breath. Let it reach the hidden corners of your soul. This night is not about performance, it's about presence. And Jesus is already here. You might think nothing is happening right now, that everything is quiet, still, paused. But the truth is, heaven does not sleep. While your eyes close and your body rests, something holy is taking place. Heaven is moving, for you. There are answers being prepared in silence, doors being opened without noise, protection being released where you can't see it, angels being assigned to guard, to guide, to intervene, not because you earned it, but because you're loved. God doesn't need daylight to work. In fact, some of His most powerful miracles happen in the dark, in the hidden hours, in the moments when you finally stop striving and just let go. Tonight, the weight you laid down at His feet is not ignored. Your prayers, even the quiet ones whispered in pain, are being collected, remembered, honored. There is movement in the spiritual realm right now, movement that doesn't depend on your strength, movement that continues even while you rest. You are not waiting alone. There's a divine process unfolding, step by step, layer by layer, and though you might not see it yet, what God is doing will one day make you look back in awe. So let yourself sleep without fear. Let your heart be still. The one who watches over you does not slumber, and while you rest, he is working in ways you wouldn't believe, to bring beauty out of ashes, restoration out of brokenness, and light out of everything you thought was too far gone. Yes, while you sleep, heaven is moving, and you are not being forgotten. You are being favored. You've already carried enough. The thoughts, the worries, the pressure, they've been heavy on your shoulders all day. And now, as the night surrounds you, your soul longs for relief. But here's something sacred to remember. You don't have to bring today into tomorrow. You're not meant to drag the same burden from day to day, especially not when God is offering to carry it for you. Tonight is not just a pause between days. It's an opportunity for release. Whatever didn't go as planned, whatever conversation left you unsettled, whatever didn't get finished, fixed, or explained, it does not have permission to enter your tomorrow, because God is drawing a line tonight, not in anger, but in mercy. He knows how long you've held on, and now He's inviting you to let go. You're allowed to rest without solving everything. You're allowed to feel peace, even with unanswered prayers. You're allowed to close your eyes without knowing what comes next, because your Father does know. And He says, "Give it to me. I'll hold it while you sleep." That's not weakness. That's trust. You were never created to carry this alone. You are not responsible for holding the whole world together. God is, and He's still holding it, even now. So take a moment. Breathe. Speak to Him from your heart. Lord, I release this. I don't want to wake up with the same weight. Take it from me tonight. And believe this. When you rise in the morning, you can rise lighter. Not because life is suddenly perfect, but because your soul will be rested and your burdens already surrendered. Let the night wash away the weight. Let the dawn meet a soul that's free. There are seasons when silence feels heavy, when you pray and hear nothing back, when you look for signs and find none, when you ask questions and only get stillness in return. And in those moments, it's easy to wonder, is God even listening? Did my prayer get lost? Am I forgotten? But the truth is often the opposite. The silence might not be absence. It might be movement, happening in ways you can't yet perceive. Because some of God's greatest answers begin in silence. Not in noise, not in fireworks, not in sudden changes, but in quiet surrender, deep work, and perfect timing. What feels silent to you might already be resting in God's hands. He doesn't panic. He doesn't rush. He doesn't need to announce every step. But He always listens. And He never lets go of what's been entrusted to Him in faith. That thing you whispered last night, the tear you didn't even explain to anyone, the situation you laid at His feet even though your heart still trembled, it's not being ignored. It's being held. It's being shaped. It's being aligned with something greater than what you asked for. So tonight, don't mistake the silence for inactivity. Don't let the stillness make you doubt His care. Sometimes God is silent because He's already working. Sometimes He doesn't speak because He wants you to rest. Sometimes He waits because what He's preparing is far more beautiful than what you expected. Lay your thoughts down. Breathe into the quiet. And trust that even here, in this silence, you are not alone. You are surrounded by divine hands. Let this night be your reminder. God is not far. He's just working in the invisible. And that silence you hear, it might just be the sound of heaven moving behind the scenes. We live in a world that glorifies non-stop motion. A world where resting feels like weakness, where pausing makes you feel behind, and where doing nothing is often mistaken for failure. But in God's kingdom, rest is not surrender to defeat. It's surrender to His strength. Rest doesn't mean you've stopped caring. It doesn't mean you're quitting your dreams, your family, your responsibilities. It means you recognize something sacred. You were never meant to carry all of this on your own. When God calls you to rest, He's not asking you to give up. He's inviting you to trust that even in stillness, He is active. To trust that while your body sleeps, His hands continue to work on what your heart can't reach. Remember, Jesus Himself rested. He slept in a storm, not because the storm wasn't real, but because His peace was greater than the waves. And now He calls you to do the same. To rest, not in denial but in confidence. To sleep, not out of exhaustion but out of faith. You've done enough for today. You fought, prayed, endured, tried, and now you're allowed to exhale. You're allowed to place it all in God's hands and let rest be your act of worship. This kind of rest says, Lord, I know You've got this. I don't have to fix it all before I close my eyes. You're already ahead of me, preparing, healing, aligning. So I release it and I trust You. As your body quiets down, let your soul do the same. Let your trust rise higher than your fear. Let your spirit be refreshed in the stillness of this night. Rest is not the end of the story. It's part of the process. And when God calls you to rest, He's preparing something for when you rise. You've reached the end of the day. Your body is tired. Your mind may still be racing. And your heart, it might be holding both hope and heaviness. But here's the truth you need to hear tonight. Jesus hasn't stopped working, not for a second. Even while your thoughts slow down and your eyelids grow heavy, He continues to move. In places you can't see, in situations you can't fix, in hearts you've prayed for but cannot change. He is there, still working. Jesus doesn't clock out when you go to bed. He doesn't take breaks. He doesn't postpone His promises until you're awake. In fact, some of His most powerful work is done while you simply rest in faith. The same Jesus who healed in the silence of the night, who walked on water before the sun rose, who rose from the grave while the world still slept. He's the one moving right now on your behalf. You might not feel anything. You might not see change yet. But spiritual ground is shifting. Invisible chains are breaking. Unseen doors are opening. Because your rest does not mean things stop. It means you've stepped aside so that He can move freely. And that's when miracles begin. Tonight, while your eyes close, Jesus is standing between you and your fears. He's defending what's yours. He's healing what's broken. He's breathing peace into the places that felt dry and forgotten. Your surrender activates His power. Your stillness makes space for His presence. And your sleep becomes sacred when you trust that He's still moving. So don't fear the quiet. Don't fear the dark. Close your eyes with confidence knowing this. Jesus is not done with your story. Not tonight, not ever. And as you rest, He continues to work with love, precision, and power. Some nights it's not your body that keeps you awake, it's your mind. Endless questions circling like a storm. What if it never changes? Why did it happen like that? Will I be enough? What comes next? You try to relax, but the questions echo louder in the silence, and slowly your peace starts to slip through your fingers. Not because you stopped believing, but because you've been trying to find answers that only heaven holds. But tonight, God is calling you to surrender them. You weren't created to carry every question into your dreams. You weren't designed to wrestle all night with what's out of your control. You are not responsible for solving everything before you sleep. You are responsible for trusting the one who already knows the answers. There is peace available to you, but it comes when you let go. Let go of needing to understand. Let go of replaying the conversation. Let go of trying to predict tomorrow. Let go of blaming yourself for things beyond your power. Say quietly in your heart, God, I release these questions to you. I don't need to have all the answers. I just need to know you're with me. And He is. He is not waiting for you to solve it all. He's waiting for you to rest in Him. Because peace isn't found in explanations. It's found in presence. In trusting that the God who sees the end from the beginning is not worried about your timeline and is never late with your miracle. So breathe. You don't need to figure it out tonight. You just need to sleep in the arms of a God who already has it figured out. Let your soul exhale. Let your thoughts grow quiet. And as you close your eyes, leave those heavy questions at His feet. They were never meant to follow you into tomorrow. Fear is sneaky at night. It whispers when everything is quiet. It creeps into your thoughts when the lights are off. It tells you stories that haven't happened, replays the moments you regret, and paints worst-case scenarios in your mind. But you are not defenseless. You don't have to fight fear alone. You have a weapon, simple, powerful, holy, the name of Jesus. There is no fear too loud, no anxiety too deep, no darkness too heavy that can withstand the power of His name. When you speak the name of Jesus, you are not just saying a word. You are inviting peace. You are calling on authority. You are pushing back the lies of the enemy with the truth of heaven. Say it gently, say it aloud, say it in your mind if that's all you can do. Jesus. And feel the atmosphere begin to change, because His name carries light. His name breaks chains. His name silences torment. His name invites rest, not just for your body but for your soul. Fear wants to dominate the night, but fear trembles when it hears His name. Remember this. You don't have to feel strong to be safe. You just have to know who protects you. And the one who watches over you is not distant, distracted, or delayed. He is present. He is listening. He is ready to cover you with peace the moment you call on Him. So if fear tries to return tonight, don't try to fight it alone. Just whisper, Jesus, and let Him do what only He can. Fear loses its grip when you speak the name of the one who holds you. We live by time, schedules, deadlines, morning alarms, dates on calendars. We count hours, track minutes, and measure life in seconds. But God, He exists outside of all of that. He is not rushed, He is not delayed, and He is definitely not limited by time. What seems impossible by your timeline is already possible on His. And while you sleep, while the world around you slows down, God is still working in divine timing, not human timing. Tonight might feel like the middle of waiting, but to God it could be the edge of breakthrough, because He doesn't need months to heal you. He doesn't need years to answer. He doesn't need the perfect moment to act. He can do in one night what would take you a lifetime to build on your own. He can open the right door while you sleep. He can prepare someone's heart while you dream. He can bring clarity, restoration, peace, and when you wake up, something will have shifted. Don't underestimate what can happen between midnight and morning. Don't assume that because you don't see it, nothing is happening. He is the God who parted seas, calmed storms, and resurrected life while the world slept. So let your heart expect the unexpected. Go to bed not just tired, but hopeful. Say it to your own soul, God is not done. He's just getting started, and I might wake up to a miracle. Because dawn is coming, and with it, a surprise only heaven could write. Take a slow breath, right now. Not just because your body needs it, but because your soul does too. You've been thinking all day, worrying, planning, fixing, trying to carry things that were never meant to be yours alone. But in this moment, you're being invited to pause, not just physically, but spiritually. Because whether you feel it or not, you're already in His presence. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to be perfect to deserve it. You don't even have to say the right words. His presence isn't a reward. It's a gift. It's a place you belong. God is not far. He's not waiting on the other side of your breakthrough. He's not only near when you're strong or full of faith. He's here, now, right beside you, in this quiet space, in this exact breath. So breathe deeply, not with fear but with peace, not with tension but with trust. Let each inhale be a reminder, God is with me. Let each exhale release what you don't need to carry anymore. Let go of the guilt. Let go of the pressure. Let go of the rush to figure everything out. His presence doesn't require noise, just your heart. And right now it's enough. Your willingness to be still is enough. Your honesty is enough. You are seen, heard, and surrounded by the one who holds the stars in place and still chooses to be near you. So rest in that. You don't have to search for Him tonight. You're already found. You're already safe. You're already in the arms of the one who loves you more than words could ever express. Just breathe and stay here. This is holy ground and you are home. We often think miracles happen when we're most active, when we're praying loudly, fighting hard, declaring boldly. And yes, sometimes they do. But tonight God wants to remind you, miracles can also begin in stillness, in the quiet of the night, in the softness of your surrender, in the gentle decision to lay down your worries and simply rest. Rest is not passive when it's done in faith. It's not weakness, it's warfare in the Spirit. Because when you choose to rest in God, you are declaring that you trust Him more than your own effort. You are saying, God, I believe you are doing something even when I see nothing. That kind of faith moves heaven. You might not hear thunder, you might not feel a shake in the atmosphere, but a miracle doesn't need noise to begin. Sometimes it starts with a whisper, a shift, a seed planted as a dark that no one sees, until suddenly it blooms. Tonight, let that be your posture. Open hands, soft heart, peaceful mind, because God can begin the miracle while you sleep. He doesn't need you to fix it. He just needs you to believe He can. There are things already aligning, hearts already changing, mountains already moving, because you chose to let go. Rest becomes holy when you place it in the hands of a holy God. So close your eyes tonight, not in fear or frustration, but in quiet expectation that something beautiful is starting. Right now, while you rest in Him, you've tried, you've prayed, you've waited, hoped, cried, adjusted. You've done everything within your power, and maybe you still feel like it wasn't enough. But here's the truth that brings peace to tired souls. It's not all up to you. God never asked you to be the miracle. He asked you to believe in the one who performs them, And tonight, as your head rests on the pillow, you can finally release what was never yours to carry alone. Because you've done what you could. You've shown up. You've fought through emotions, doubts, and long days. You've planted seeds, even if you haven't seen a harvest yet. Now, it's God's turn. Let Him step in. Let Him do what only He can. The impossible, the unexplainable. The transformation that no effort of yours could ever manufacture. You're not giving up. You're giving God room. Room to move. Room to act. Room to surprise you in ways that your plans never could. Faith is not always loud. Sometimes it looks like closing your eyes in peace, saying, "Lord, I trust you now. I've done all I can. I leave the rest in your hands." And those are the hands that hold the universe. Hands that heal, restore, provide, and guide, with no limits, no confusion, no delay. So tonight, rest in that surrender. You are not a failure because you couldn't fix it. You are a child of God learning to trust the Father who already knows what tomorrow holds. Let that truth calm your mind. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are simply standing at the edge of what only God can do, and that's the safest place to be. Darkness can feel overwhelming at night, not just the absence of light around you, but the heaviness that creeps into your heart. Memories that resurface, fears that get louder, questions that echo with no answers. But before you let the darkness speak louder than the truth, remember this: God created light. And if He created light, He understands darkness. He's not afraid of it. He's not limited by it. And He's not distant from you because of it. The same God who said, "Let there be light," and watched it break through the void, can speak that same light into your night right now. You may feel surrounded by shadows, but shadows only exist when there's light nearby. And His light is never far. You don't need to chase the darkness away. You only need to invite His presence in. Because when Jesus enters, darkness doesn't argue, it flees. The fear that tried to settle in your chest, it weakens in His presence. The confusion that clouded your thoughts, it begins to clear. The spiritual heaviness pressing on your soul, it loses power the moment you remember He is with you and He is light. Don't be afraid of the dark. It is not greater than your God. He moves just as powerfully in the night as He does in the daylight. And sometimes it's in the darkest hours that His light shines the brightest, because your heart is finally still enough to see it. So tonight, as shadows fall and quiet surrounds you, whisper this truth to your soul: My God is not afraid of darkness. He created light, and He brings it into me. Let that light calm you. Let it rest over your room. Let it silence the lies that darkness tries to tell. Because the one who created light is already here. Silence can feel uncomfortable. We're used to movement, to noise, to signs, a message, a signal, a confirmation that God is doing something. But what happens when all you hear is quiet? When the prayers go unanswered? When the sky feels still? When heaven seems silent? It's easy to think that silence means absence, but that's not how the Spirit of God works, because even in silence the Spirit is active. He doesn't need volume to move. He doesn't need sound to create. He doesn't need to explain Himself before He acts. Think of the seed planted in the soil. It grows in silence, beneath the surface, invisible to the eye, but alive and becoming. That's how the Holy Spirit moves in your life. Right now, even as your room is quiet, even as you wonder if anything is changing, the Spirit is at work. He's healing what you didn't know was broken. He's softening hearts, including your own. He's clearing paths ahead of you, removing obstacles you never saw. And yes, even while you sleep, He's whispering to your spirit, calming your nervous system, and preparing your heart to receive what God has planned. God is never inactive. He just works in layers deeper than your senses can reach. So don't mistake divine stillness for divine neglect. The silence is not the end. It's the sacred space where God moves in mystery. Close your eyes with peace tonight. You don't need proof to believe, you need trust to rest. The Spirit is near. The Spirit is moving. The Spirit is always working. And even in the quiet, you are being transformed. There's a certain kind of loneliness that hits at night. When the lights go out, when the notifications stop, when the world gets quiet, your mind gets louder. And in that silence, a question can rise: does anyone really see me? Not just the version you show to others, but the real you, tired, wondering, sometimes worn out. If you've ever felt invisible, unheard, overlooked, this moment is for you. Because God whispers something over your soul tonight. You are not forgotten. Not tonight, not ever. You are seen, you are known, you are loved, with a depth and consistency that no human relationship could ever replicate. You may not have received the call you were hoping for. You may feel like your efforts went unnoticed today. You may wonder if your presence even makes a difference. But heaven sees it all. Every act of kindness that cost you something. Every silent prayer you thought no one heard. Every tear that slipped down when the world wasn't looking. God has captured it all and counted none of it as small. He is the God who remembers, who notices when even a single sparrow falls, who knows the number of hairs on your head, who collects your tears in His bottle and calls you by name, not label, not failure, not mistake, but name. You are not one of many to Him. You are His. So tonight, don't go to sleep believing the lie that you're forgotten. You are in the heart of the one who formed you. You are on the mind of the one who watches over you, and you are in the care of the one who never sleeps. Rest in that truth. Let it hold you like a warm blanket on a cold night. You are not forgotten. You are deeply remembered and endlessly loved. When the day closes, it can feel like a full stop. Like the story paused. Like nothing more can be done. And maybe tonight you lay down with a heart heavy from everything that didn't happen. Everything that went wrong. Everything that still feels unfinished. But what if tonight isn't an ending? What if it's the exact moment when God starts preparing what's next? You see, God doesn't work on the same calendar you do. He's not waiting for daylight to begin something beautiful. Sometimes, His greatest moves begin in the quiet of the night, in the space where you stop. And He starts. This moment isn't about closing down, it's about being prepared. Your rest tonight is sacred. Not just because your body needs it, but because your spirit is being positioned for what's coming. While you sleep, God is preparing the path ahead. He's aligning opportunities, strengthening your heart, and softening the ground for a new beginning. What felt like failure today may become the seed of a breakthrough tomorrow. What you lost may be making room for something better. What seemed like delay might actually be protection or preparation. You don't have to see the full picture to believe that God is still writing the next chapter. Let this be the mindset that settles in as you fall asleep. God is not done. This night is not the end. It's the beginning of something new. Every new thing starts in a quiet place, in the dark soil before the sprout breaks through, in the deep waters before the storm calms, in the stillness before the light rises. So breathe, Let go and rest with this hope. You're not losing, you're being prepared. And when morning comes, you'll rise into something new, something heaven has already started tonight. You don't need the perfect words. You don't need to shout. You don't even need to speak loudly. Because God hears even what your lips never say. And sometimes the most powerful prayers are the whispered ones. That quiet, help me, as you turn off the light. The tearful, please you didn't say out loud. The simple, almost silent, God, I need you. Yes, heaven hears that. You are not praying into an empty space. Your words don't disappear into the dark. They go straight to the heart of a loving Father who bends low to listen, who honors the voice of his children, and who responds not always with noise but always with presence. Tonight, as you lie in your bed, you don't have to perform. You don't have to impress. You just have to be real. If all you can say is, God, I'm tired. God, I'm scared. God, I trust you. That's enough. Because prayer isn't about length. It's about sincerity. It's not about volume. It's about connection. It's not about controlling the outcome. It's about surrendering the moment. So whisper your prayer. Let it rise in the stillness of this night. And believe, heaven is listening. God heard you before you spoke. He felt what you were holding in. And he's closer now than you think. Angels are moving in response to prayers whispered in faith. Peace is entering your room, not because you figured it all out, but because you dared to reach for him even in weakness. So breathe in and pray. With trust, with honesty, with simplicity. You don't need a crowd. You don't need a moment of perfection. You just need a heart willing to say, Lord, I give this to you. And heaven will respond. You may be lying in bed tonight waiting to feel peace, hoping that a calm will suddenly settle over your heart, that the racing thoughts will fade, and the tension in your chest will finally release. But here's the truth that changes everything. Peace is not just a feeling, it's a promise. God never said you'd feel peaceful all the time. He said, my peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. That's not just comfort, that's covenant. Peace is not the absence of problems. It's the presence of Jesus in the middle of them. It's knowing that even if things don't make sense, you are not alone. Feelings come and go. Some nights you may feel strong, others fragile. Some nights hopeful, others uncertain. But God's promise doesn't shift with your emotions. His peace is steady, available, enduring. A place you can return to again and again, even when nothing on the outside has changed. Tonight, you don't have to wait until your mind calms down to believe you're safe. You don't have to wait until every fear vanishes to declare you are held. You don't even have to wait for the perfect moment to receive his peace. You can claim it right now, because God has already spoken it over your life. So speak it aloud if you can. God, I receive your peace, not because I feel it, but because you promised it. Let those words wash over you. Let that truth anchor you. Let that promise carry you into sleep. The peace of God goes deeper than emotion. It holds you when nothing else does, and it will be waiting for you, tonight, tomorrow, and always. You may not always feel it, but you are covered. You are defended. You are deeply protected, not by luck, not by your own strength, but by the one who calls you his. Jesus protects what belongs to him, and that includes you. He doesn't take that lightly. You are not just a passing thought. You are not a distant figure in the crowd. You are his beloved, his responsibility, his joy. And like a shepherd guards his sheep, like a father watches over his children, like a king defends his kingdom, Jesus stands between you and what tries to harm you. The things you don't see, he sees them. The battles you didn't know were being fought on your behalf, he fought them. The traps the enemy set for your mind, your peace, your future, he dismantled them before they reached you. Tonight, even while you rest, his protection doesn't sleep. His eyes are always on you. His hands never let go. He guards your soul when you're awake and even more when you're asleep. Because when you let go, he steps in, fully, faithfully, fearlessly. So don't be afraid of the dark. Don't worry about what might happen in the middle of the night. Don't let your imagination convince you that you're vulnerable. You are not. You are protected by Jesus himself. Say it quietly if you need to remind your heart, I am his. And he protects what is his. There is no safer place to be. Let that truth settle over you like a blanket. Let it quiet every fear. Let it guide you into rest. Because if Jesus defends you, you have nothing to fear. You've been holding so much, trying to keep everything together, managing emotions, schedules, responsibilities, relationships, finances. Even in the quiet moments, your mind doesn't rest, because part of you still believes, if I stop, everything might fall apart. But here's the truth that sets your soul free tonight. You can let go. Because God never does. You were never meant to carry all the weight. You were never asked to control outcomes. You were called to trust, deeply, fully, even in the dark. God doesn't sleep. He doesn't take breaks. He doesn't miss details. While you lie down tonight, his eyes are still watching over you. His hands are still moving pieces into place. His spirit is still working on things you can't see or fix. You can rest because he doesn't need to. Letting go of control doesn't mean you're careless. It means you're courageous enough to trust a bigger plan. It means you surrender your small, limited view to the one who sees the whole picture. You don't need to fix everything before you fall asleep. You don't need to replay every scenario, rewrite every word, or stress over tomorrow. He's already there. He's already covering what you can't. He's already doing what your efforts never could. So breathe out the pressure. Loosen your grip. Say quietly, God, I give you what I can't carry anymore. I let go because I believe you never do. And then, let peace come. Tonight your job is not to stay in control. Your job is to rest in the arms of the one who always is. And when you wake up tomorrow, you might find that he took care of more than you imagined. There are moments in life when a door slams shut, an opportunity disappears, a relationship ends, a prayer goes unanswered, and everything inside you whispers, it's over. Tonight maybe you're lying in bed replaying that moment. The rejection, the silence, the ending you didn't see coming, and all you feel is the weight of something lost. But what if that closed door is not the final word? What if the story didn't end? It simply paused, waiting for new keys to appear with the dawn? You see, God is not only the opener of doors, he is the creator of keys. He doesn't just work with what's available. He builds what doesn't yet exist, and he knows how to unlock things in your life that seem permanently shut. Just because a door didn't open today doesn't mean it won't open tomorrow, and just because it didn't open for you doesn't mean it was the right door to begin with. You may feel stuck now, but heaven isn't stuck. Heaven is still writing, still preparing, still forging keys in silence. And while you rest tonight, God is doing what only he can, aligning people, timing and purpose so that when you wake up, what felt closed might no longer be locked. Don't give up just because something didn't open today. Don't lose faith because a door stayed shut longer than expected. Rest with this hope. Dawn is coming, and with it, the keys you didn't know you needed. Let your soul believe again. Let your heart wait with expectation, because the author of your story never runs out of ways to lead you forward. Storms don't always look like thunder and lightning. Sometimes they're invisible, a swirl of anxious thoughts, an unexpected diagnosis, a financial hit, a broken relationship, a fear that won't quiet down. You might be in a storm right now. Maybe no one else sees it. Maybe on the outside you look calm. But inside, the winds are strong and the waves are rising. But here's the truth that steadies your soul. You are not exposed. You are not unprotected. You are safe, even now, under His wings. Psalm 91 says it so clearly. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. God doesn't promise a storm-free life, but He promises shelter in the middle of it. He doesn't say you'll never feel wind, but He promises it won't sweep you away. Right now, this very moment, His presence is covering you. Like a mother bird gathers her young beneath her wings, God draws you in, close, hidden, held. Not because you're strong, but because He is faithful. The noise of the storm doesn't scare Him. The pressure you feel doesn't shake Him. And the danger around you doesn't touch you when you're resting in His shadow. You don't need to fight through the night. You don't need to stay alert in fear. You can lie down and sleep, not because the storm disappeared, but because you are not facing it alone. Say this quietly as you close your eyes. I may not be able to stop the storm, but I am sheltered beneath His wings. That's where you belong. That's where you are, safe, covered, protected, even now. You might be used to connecting God's presence with big moments, loud worship, powerful sermons, breakthrough encounters. And yes, those are beautiful, but sometimes we forget this simple, sacred truth. Grace does not need noise. It works in the quiet. You're lying there tonight, heart open, but words few. No big declarations, no dramatic music, just stillness. And that's more than enough, because grace isn't activated by volume, it's activated by surrender. It flows best in silence, where pride falls away and your soul whispers, God, I need you. I trust you. I'm here. There is grace for the exhausted, grace for the confused, grace for the ones who don't have the energy to pray long prayers tonight. It wraps around you like a gentle blanket, soaks into places of shame, fear, or failure, and quietly begins its healing work. You don't need to do more. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to strive in the dark, because grace is already here, soft, steady, unseen, but real. It is lifting burdens you didn't know how to name. It is speaking peace to thoughts you couldn't silence. It is giving strength where you only felt emptiness. And it's doing it quietly, because that's what grace does. Even now, while you lie in this stillness, God's grace is finding you, filling in the cracks, covering what's broken, restoring what felt lost. So don't underestimate this moment. Don't think your silence means God isn't moving. Some of the most powerful healing happens in the quiet, when grace comes close and simply says, you don't have to do anything, just receive. And tonight, you are. Not all miracles come with warning signs. Not every breakthrough is loud. Sometimes the greatest shifts in your life begin in moments like this, when everything is still, when you're not trying to make anything happen, when you simply breathe and trust. And maybe, just maybe, this is that moment. This might be the night when something in the atmosphere changes, the night when a spiritual wall begins to crumble, the night when a door opens silently in the background. The night when heaven responds, not because you shouted, but because you believed. You don't need fireworks to prove God is moving. You don't need to feel something to know it's real. Faith isn't about emotions, it's about expectation rooted in truth. And here's the truth. God responds to faith, even small faith, even tired, whispering, "God, I still believe" kind of faith. So what if this night isn't just about rest, but realignment? What if God is shifting something deep inside you, releasing peace where fear had lived, speaking clarity where confusion reigned, unlocking a path you didn't even know existed? Let your heart stay open, not to the pressure of trying harder, but to the possibility that this could be it. The night heaven leans in close and says, "It begins now." Not with noise, not with drama, but with grace. You may not see it by morning, but your spirit will know. Something changed. A seed was planted, a door began to move, and in the days to come you'll look back and realize that night, that quiet, simple night, was when everything began to shift. So rest with faith, because God doesn't need much to move. He just needs a heart willing to believe. Darkness has a way of playing with your mind. When the lights go out, so do the distractions. And suddenly, your thoughts are louder, your worries clearer, your fears more vivid. But let's tell the truth tonight. Darkness doesn't mean danger. It doesn't mean God has left. It doesn't mean you're alone, because darkness may be around you, but Jesus is the light within you. And his light isn't just a flicker, it's a flame that never dies. It doesn't depend on your mood, your strength, or your circumstances. It shines because he's present, and he never leaves. Scripture reminds us, even the darkness is not dark to you. The night shines like the day, for darkness is as light to you. Psalm 139 verse 12. So don't be afraid of this night. You are not lost in it. You are held in it by the light of the world himself. Jesus doesn't wait for daylight to reach you. He meets you right here in the quiet, in the shadows, in the moments when fear knocks loudest. His light comforts. His light reveals truth. His light protects. And his light leads you, even when you can't see more than one step ahead. You don't have to chase away the dark. You don't have to pretend it's not there. You simply have to trust that Jesus is brighter than anything trying to intimidate you. Say this as you prepare to rest. Jesus, I trust your light is enough for me tonight. Even here, especially here, I believe you're with me. Let that truth anchor you. Let it soften the fear. Let it bring peace to your spirit. Because no matter how dark the night may feel, you carry the one who is the light itself, and nothing can overcome him. If your eyes could see what's happening in the spiritual realm right now, your heart would settle, your breath would slow, your body would rest with confidence. Because you're not alone in this room. You're not defenseless. You're not exposed. You are surrounded. God, in his love, has assigned angels to your life. Not just for symbolic comfort, but for real, active, divine protection. They are not imaginary. They are not distant. They are here. Psalm 91:11 says, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." That means there are heavenly beings standing watch over your home, your family, your body, your thoughts, especially while you rest. You may not see them, but they are positioned at every corner, shielding you from harm, intercepting what you didn't even know was coming, fighting battles on your behalf while you sleep. You can lie down in peace tonight, not because the world is perfect, but because you are protected by a presence more powerful than anything that comes against you. Even your deepest fear shrinks in the presence of angelic protection. Even the threats you imagined lose power in the light of God's reality. And those angels, they don't grow tired. They don't lose focus. They don't take breaks. They stand alert because their assignment is you. So if you feel anxious tonight, if your imagination runs wild with what-ifs, try whispering this truth to your heart. If I could see the angels guarding me right now, I would fall asleep without fear. And then let yourself do exactly that. Not because of wishful thinking, but because of a divine promise, a reality greater than what your eyes can see. You are covered. You are safe. You are surrounded. Fear is loud. It doesn't whisper, it shouts. It shows up when you're tired. It exaggerates what's uncertain. It asks questions that have no answers at midnight. And sometimes when everything else quiets down, fear speaks even louder. What if it all falls apart? What if you're not enough? What if nothing changes? But there's something even more powerful than fear. Faith. Not the kind of faith that needs proof, but the kind that whispers back, even if I don't know what's next, I know who's with me. Faith isn't always loud. It doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just stays standing in silence, refusing to agree with fear's lies. Faith doesn't need to know the future to feel safe. It just needs to trust the Father who holds it. And that's what quiets fear. Not answers, but confidence in God's presence. The voice of fear starts to fade when your heart decides that peace doesn't come from control, but from surrender. Tonight, you can choose to rest in that kind of faith. You don't have to wrestle your way to peace. You don't have to fight fear with force. You simply need to turn your attention to the one whose voice is greater. Say it out loud if you need to. Fear, you don't get to speak tonight. I'm resting in faith, and faith says I'm safe. And watch what happens. Watch how your body relaxes. Watch how your thoughts grow still. Watch how the storm loses volume when you stop listening to fear and start listening to truth. Because fear may speak loudly, but faith speaks last, and it speaks peace. You might not have words tonight. Maybe all you have are tears. Tears from pain you can't explain, from prayers that feel unanswered, from battles no one else sees. But let this truth reach the deepest part of you. Your tears are not wasted. They are not a sign of weakness. They are seeds planted in faith, watered in surrender, and seen by the God who collects every single one. Psalm 56:8 says, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle." God doesn't overlook your tears. He honors them, He holds them, and He transforms them. Because those tears you cry tonight are connected to a testimony that's still unfolding. They are watering something that will bloom in the future. Something beautiful, redemptive, and holy. You may not see it yet. You may not understand how this pain could ever produce something good. But heaven sees the bigger picture, the breakthrough you long for, the healing you're waiting on, the story you'll one day tell to someone who needs hope. It's being shaped in this very moment, not in your strength but in your surrender. So don't be ashamed of your tears. Don't hide them from God. Let them fall freely into His hands. Let them become part of the soil where your faith grows roots. Because every tear cried in trust is a declaration that says, I still believe, even in the dark. And that kind of faith, it moves heaven. It prepares the way. It builds a testimony. So cry if you need to. But cry with hope. knowing that what breaks you tonight might bless someone tomorrow. God is not done. He's writing a story. And this part right now is more important than you know. You may not hear it. You may not feel it. But right now, in the stillness of this night, something is breaking in the spiritual realm. Chains you didn't know were wrapped around you. Cycles that seemed impossible to escape. Invisible resistance that's been holding back your peace, your progress, your purpose. And it's not breaking because of your strength. It's breaking because you surrendered. Your simple decision to pause, to turn your heart to God, to rest in trust instead of fear, has activated something powerful in heaven. Spiritual warfare isn't always loud. Sometimes it happens in moments like this, when the enemy loses ground because your soul chose peace instead of panic. You may have felt pressure all day. You may have faced opposition for weeks. But tonight, in this quiet act of faith, God is moving behind the scenes. He's dismantling lies, tearing down strongholds, breaking assignments sent against you, lifting what's been heavy in your spirit. Because spiritual victories are not measured by noise, they're measured by authority. And Jesus has already won. Right now, angels are being dispatched, barriers are being removed, your atmosphere is being cleared. And even though you can't see it yet, you'll wake up lighter, freer, stronger. So don't let the silence fool you. This moment is full of movement. Say it with confidence. Something is breaking, and it's for my good. Because your story doesn't end in struggle. It's moving toward breakthrough. And tonight may be the turning point. Let your heart rest in that truth. The battle is not yours, but the victory. It's already on its way. You've had long days, the kind that drain you from the inside out. You've carried emotions, responsibilities, worries, sometimes quietly without letting anyone know how heavy it's been. And now that the day is over, your body feels tired, but so does your spirit. But tonight, God is inviting you into something different. You don't have to fall asleep from exhaustion. You can fall asleep with expectation. Expectation that God is not done with you. That rest isn't the end of movement. It's part of His divine rhythm. That while you sleep, heaven continues working on your behalf. This isn't just sleep for recovery. It's sleep with purpose. Because faith doesn't stop when your eyes close. Hope doesn't pause when the day ends. And miracles don't wait for the morning to begin. Something holy happens when you lie down in trust. When you release the day, not in defeat, but in confidence that something better is coming. Your posture in this moment matters. It determines what your spirit receives as you rest. So don't just collapse into bed tonight. Don't let exhaustion be your final word. Instead, whisper this prayer. God, I give you today, with all its highs and lows. And I choose to rest, not because I'm worn out, but because I know you are faithful. I expect peace. I expect healing. I expect you to move, even while I sleep. And when you sleep like that, your rest becomes a weapon, a declaration, a seed of trust that says, I believe something good is coming. Yes, you are tired, but you are also covered, held, guided. And you don't just need to rest. You deserve to rest with expectation. Because tomorrow holds more than survival. It holds purpose. And the night is preparing your heart to receive it. There's something sacred about the morning. Not just because it's the start of a new day, but because it's the moment when heaven makes a quiet declaration. You get to begin again. Lamentations 3:22-23 says it beautifully. Because of the Lord's great love we are not consumed, for His compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. And that includes tomorrow morning. No matter how today went, no matter what mistakes you made, no matter how heavy the burden was or how many questions remain unanswered, when the first light enters your room, it carries more than a sunrise. It carries new mercy. Mercy that doesn't shame you for yesterday. Mercy that doesn't demand perfection. Mercy that meets you right where you are, tired, uncertain, maybe even discouraged, and says, "Here's your second wind, here's your clean slate. Here's the grace you didn't know you needed." God doesn't recycle old mercy. He doesn't give you leftovers from the past. He prepares something fresh, made just for you, and it's waiting with the dawn. So as you lay your head down tonight, you can let go of what went wrong. You can stop rehearsing every regret. You can silence the voice that says, "It's too late." Because God has already written mercy into your next beginning. And it's not based on your performance, it's based on His faithfulness. Rest in that promise. Let it wash over your soul like a soft light breaking through darkness. Let it calm the fear that says nothing will change. Because tomorrow is not just a continuation, it's a gift. And it comes wrapped in mercy, carried by love, delivered by a God who never runs out of grace. Sleep in peace. Morning is coming, and with it, mercy that's brand new. Not every attack is obvious. Sometimes the enemy plants things in your heart quietly, a lie wrapped in a thought, a doubt buried in a conversation, a heaviness that settles in without warning. Maybe today you felt it, a sudden wave of insecurity, a sense of failure that didn't come from truth, an anxiety that rose up without explanation. These are not accidents. They're subtle seeds meant to take root, to grow overnight into fear, discouragement, distraction, or despair. But here's the good news. God doesn't just watch it happen. He uproots what the enemy plants. While you rest tonight, God is moving through the soil of your soul. He's identifying what doesn't belong. He's pulling out every root that didn't come from Him. That whisper that told you, "You're not enough." Uprooted. That fear that said, "Nothing will ever change." Uprooted. That pressure to be perfect, strong, or in control at all times. Uprooted. Because the gardener of your heart knows exactly what needs to stay and what needs to go. And He's not angry, He's gentle. He won't rip you apart. He'll restore you, lovingly, patiently, completely. Tonight is a cleansing, a spiritual reset, and while your body sleeps, your soul is being renewed. So if something tried to attach itself to you today, guilt, shame, heaviness, confusion, don't carry it into tomorrow. Let God do His work. Let Him uproot what was never meant to grow in you. Say this as you prepare for sleep. God, anything that didn't come from you, I give you permission to remove it. And trust that He will, because your heart is sacred ground, and God is committed to keeping it whole. You've done your part today. You've walked through hours filled with decisions, emotions, and effort. Maybe some things went well. Maybe others left you empty, drained, or even broken inside. But here's what's happening now, beyond what you can feel. Your spirit is being healed while you rest. Just as your body recovers during sleep, your soul also enters a space of restoration. And the one doing the healing? Not time, not distraction, not sleep alone, but God Himself. He doesn't need you to be fully awake to work in you. In fact, it's in your rest that He moves most gently, unrushed, unseen, but deeply effective. He touches wounds that were too raw during the day. He calms inner chaos that you couldn't silence. He breathes life into places you didn't even realize were tired. Maybe your smile hid some pain. Maybe your strength was running on fumes. Maybe your heart has been carrying weight for weeks or months or longer. God sees it all. And now, as your body surrenders to sleep, He steps in to minister to your spirit. No appointment needed, no performance required, just your willingness to let go. Tonight, healing is flowing. Maybe not in a flash or a moment of emotional breakthrough, but in stillness, breath by breath. He's realigning what was out of balance, restoring what the world wore down, softening what had become hardened from hurt. And when you rise tomorrow, you may not be able to explain it, but something in you will feel lighter, clearer, stronger, because spiritual healing isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, like a father whispering, "You're safe now. Let me take care of this." So let yourself rest. You're not falling apart, you're being restored. There's something powerful about believing in what hasn't happened yet. Something sacred about closing your eyes, not with fear or doubt, but with quiet expectation that God still writes the final word. And tonight, here's the truth heaven is whispering to your heart. Jesus will surprise you at dawn. You may not know how. You may not see it coming. But that's what makes it a surprise. It comes in the ordinary, in the quiet, in the spaces where you least expect it. And suddenly there He is, with peace, with answers, with mercy, with provision. Because Jesus doesn't need perfect circumstances to move, He simply needs an open heart. And you've already brought that. The same Jesus who appeared after the storm, who showed up in the garden, who walked through locked doors to comfort His followers, is the one watching over you right now. He sees the burden you laid down tonight. He saw the tears you didn't speak of. He received the whispered prayer you were barely able to form. And while you sleep, He's preparing the unexpected, not to impress you, but to love you, to remind you that He's near, that He hears, and that He always finishes what He starts. So don't go to bed afraid. Don't believe the lie that tomorrow will be just another hard day. Something is shifting, something is moving, and Jesus is about to prove it. Say it to your own heart as you rest. I believe in the surprise of God. I believe He's still writing miracles into my mornings. Let that truth be your final thought. Let it quiet your mind. Let it cradle your soul. Because when dawn breaks, you won't wake up alone. You'll wake up into a moment Jesus has already prepared. Now take one more deep breath and let everything you've received tonight settle in your soul. You've been reminded of truth. You've been surrounded by peace. You've laid down your fear. And even if your circumstances haven't changed yet, something inside you has. Tonight wasn't just a moment of reflection. It was a sacred encounter, an intimate exchange between your heart and the heart of Jesus. And what He began here, He will continue when the sun rises. So sleep peacefully, not because everything is solved, but because you are not carrying it alone. Let your spirit remain open as you rest, because Jesus isn't finished. He's preparing something, and when dawn comes, He will surprise you. So go to sleep with peace, go to sleep with faith, and go to sleep with the unshakable assurance that the same God who met you here tonight will greet you again, with new mercy, with new strength, and with a new beginning. You are loved, you are protected, and you are not alone. Rest now and let heaven finish what it started.